but joining us right now is Georgia Congressman David Scott. Congressman Scott, glad to have you on the show. We are here at this moment. Let's just be real honest. It has been the relentless year of activism by activists and others, protests, Congresswoman Joyce Bading getting arrested, of course, black women here having events, the Poor People's Campaign. All these things have been happening to move this president to do what he did today, to say we have got to end the filibuster to pass voting rights.
Absolutely. And what was remarkable about today, Roland, was clearly the spirit of both John Lewis and Martin Luther King Jr. were in Atlanta, Georgia today. And you could feel the spirit. And Roland, you know, as my alpha brother, you continue to lead yourself. You've been at the forefront of this for a long time. I've been following you for a long time, and you've always been out there on top of the issues of major concern to all of us, but especially our African Americans. And there is no greater issue that we are faced with now than the right to vote. You see, people don't understand that this is the foundation of democracy. It all stems from making sure that the American people not only have the right to vote, but the opportunity. And you don't have the opportunity when they close down Sunday voting. People may call it sold to the polls, but it helps us. And we have a bill right now in the Georgia legislature to disavow that Sunday voting and all of these other things. So your timing is excellent, what we're doing up here in Washington, but we have got to keep preaching. We've got to keep talking. We've got to keep walking. And let me tell you this, I don't care what they say about Joe Biden, but he put the pedal to the metal in that speech. And the occasion, as I told people that wanted to criticize the president, I said, my God, do you all know that the eyes of the nation, the eyes of the world are on Georgia right now, all around the whole process of voting, which is the foundation of our democracy. We lose that, we're no longer democracy. So this is a threat to our freedoms, it's a threat to our democracy, and I am just pleased with the outpouring and the performance today, and the point of the president and the vice president coming to Atlanta, the home of Martin Luther King, in the very district, congressional district of John Lewis. And it was so special because, as you may know, I know you follow my career quite a bit, Roland, but you remember John Lewis, and I was with him when we started the voter education project years ago. I was at a college, and I went with John Lewis many places over this country. And I never will forget when we went to Waterproof, Louisiana. And it's so waterproof, it's right there by the Mississippi River in the mouth of the Gulf. But they named it Waterproof, Louisiana. And why that was in my mind was because it was when we were there. John Lewis had a tragedy in his family. And he said to me, David, I need you to speak for me. I got to go. And that was my baptism into voting rights, the civil rights in Waterproof, Louisiana, All those people were waiting for John Lewis. And I had to say, John Lewis isn't here. He had tragedy back home. But I'm here. And we feel collapse. But anyway, Roland, it's good to be with you. And I just commend you on keeping up the case here and delighted to be with you at this time.
So, Congressman, what's next? I mean, obviously, he gives a speech today, and so he comes back to Washington, D.C. You still have several Democratic senators who are not on board yet. For instance, Politico has a story today that shows that Senator Mark Kelly is undecided. You have Sinema, you have Manchin, you have Chris Coons of Delaware. You have also you have Jim Tester. That's 5 or 6 right there. And so right now, Democrats don't have 48. You've got about 42, 43. Senator Mark Warner has finally come aboard. Senator Dianne Feinstein. And so how do you get the other 7 Democratic senators to go along with this? Senator Chuck Schumer says there's going to be a vote on Monday. Does the CBC have plans to go across the hall to meet with those senators to implore them to step up and support this call?
I think we all will be doing that. Us members of Congress have our own individual relationships with members. I've been here for now 20 years. I've worked with members on a lot of things. And what I do on issues like this is to go and sit down, find out what the problem is. We got to protect against reduced absentee ballots, trying to make sure that we have absentee ballots. We got to filibuster rule. That might not be exactly the best way to go, but there are other ways. We got to sit down with these senators. We've got to provide the foot soldiers, so to speak, and go over to them. I'm a sponsor of this act. I believe in it. And we had a while back a number of Republicans. And I said to them, do you all know what the heart and soul was down in Georgia? They removed they removed the pre-clearance. That's the heart and soul of the bill. How can you go against that when I can tell you some of the same things that were going on in the South when John and I were traveling throughout the South with the Voter Education Project are still going on. They ought to be able to understand their movements like getting rid of Sunday voting to the polls, sold to the polls. People would frame it that, but who gave that name? We did. And it was a powerful weapon. Why? That in and of itself points out the evilness of this, wanting to do away with Sunday voting because of sold to the polls. This is wrong. So to get to your question, I don't have any bright answers to this except to keep plowing ahead, to keep moving ahead, get as much as we can get. If we can get protections against reduced absentee balloting, ending Sunday voting, reducing early voting, eliminating ballot voting, maybe we can do that in a way that does not, that can pull those or have support of the filibuster, and maybe there's a carve out. There are things that can be done, but I assure you that I'm at the forefront of talking with my senators who I work with, who I've worked with on a variety of issues, many of which they've come to ask me for. And I did that when we had Republicans with us at the very beginning. And I got to find out what has changed here.
Right.
And so I want your listeners and the people of America to know, hold on, because God is standing by. God has been standing by Black people for a long time. brought us out of slavery, got us to civil rights, got us to voting rights, got us rights that they want to take away. And we've got to stand firm and say, hell no, you're not going to take away our right and opportunities to vote. And then the other thing is that there are an awful lot of white people who feel this way.
Well, and which is why we also need them to raise their voices, because these voting laws don't just impact African Americans, they impact everybody. Congressman David Scott, we appreciate it. We will definitely going to have you back, because we're going to keep pressing this issue until President Biden signs this bill.
Keep on it.
I appreciate it.
Spirit, first of all, servants of all what?
We should transcend all.
Transcend all.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Take care.